Under finance management, you can see the accounts payable section. Under accounts payable, there is a job purchase section. Under job purchase section, herein you can see the purchase bill pending report. Once you open up the purchase invoice pending report, you will be able to see all those shipments against which the expense has not been booked yet, or the expense has been entered in the estimate section, but the final invoice creation is left. So here you can see all the shipment are coming, the shipments against which the estimates has not been booked yet, or as well as the shipment against which the estimate has been booked, but the final invoice creation is pending. So this report again you can run on the job date as well as the job execution date. You can filter out the shipment basis on your branch. You can filter out this report basis on your particular shipment. If you want to see, you can filter out particular shipment, as well as you can run this report by selecting the logistic product, carrier. You can also see the cargo type filter option, load type. You can also select the supplier. If you want to see any particular supplier shipment, you can just filter out and you just need to click on the generate button. Again, we have a more filter option in this case. You can filter out by POL, POD, overseas agent, freight type, trade type, shipment type, whether it is direct shipment, back-to-back shipment, home shipment, house shipment, or general shipment. Shipment status, you can also filter out by shipment status, whether it is executed shipment or back to town. If you wish to see only executed shipment, you just need to click on the executed and you just need to click on the generate button. So all the executed shipment will be appearing here. As well as if you want to see any back to town shipment, you just need to filter out the back to town and you just need to click on the generate button. Also, you can see the accounting status, whether the accounting status is bill pending or billing closed, whether any freight forwarding service is involved in any particular shipment. If you wish to see those shipment, you just need to click on the yes and you can just generate it. Here is the option of show job with. If you want to see the jobs against which no estimates has been booked, you just need to select no estimate and you just need to click on the generate button. So herein you can see no estimates has been, unbilled expense has been booked against this shipment. If you want to see the estimates has been entered but the billing is pending, you just need to select the filter as show job with and you just need to click on the generate button. So all the shipment will be appearing here against which the estimates has been booked in the estimate section. So let us filter out any particular job. You just need to select the particular job and you just need to click on that job and you will be redirected again to the shipment details screen. Go to the estimate section. Herein you can see you have already booked the sales invoices against this shipment. Next step is to create the purchase invoice. Now you just need to click on the edit option and you just need to start entering the buy rate. So the purchase invoice start from the buy rate section. So let us enter the buy rate against the ocean freight export. Select, in case of purchase invoice also, you can select the multiple currency option we have. You can select the item level currency based on the your vendor's purchase invoice. So suppose your vendor has raised you a purchase invoice of USD. So let's select as USD. If you have made any advance payment, you can select as a prepaid against this charge. If you're going to make the payment in future, you can select as a collect option. So as we have selected the currency as USD, system has auto calculated the exchange rate. You can also change the exchange rate and you can change it as per your vendor invoice. You just need to click on the tab option and you will be redirected to the other row and you just need to enter your supplier name. Again, you just need to click on the tab and you can enter the remarks if any. You just need to click on the tab and you will be redirected to the other row. So herein, let's enter the buy rate against the terminal handling charges. So herein, you can see by entering the buy rate, here you can see the against the terminal handling charges symbol is coming, which is showing that your sale amount is less than the buy amount. It means you have entered the buy rate higher than your sale rate. So the system, if you miss out something and by mistake if you are entering buy rate higher than the sale rate, also the system will notify you that you have entered your buy rate greater than your sale rate. So again I'm changing this buy rate, and again I can see still the buy rate has been entered higher. So again changing it back, selecting the currency, selecting the terms, clicking on the tab option. As you can see, in case of INR, system has auto fetch exchange rate as 1, entering the supplier name, clicking on tab, and I'm redirecting to the other row. Again entering the buy rate under the against the documentation and handling. Just need to enter the supplier name. Click on the tab option and you will be redirected to the other row. So once you have added all the charges in the estimate section, next step is to create the invoice, purchase invoice. So click on the create purchase invoice. As we have marked the billing status as closed, so you can see here the sales invoice option is not coming. So if you have marked the shipment as billing closed, sales invoice option will not appear. Only purchase invoice option will be appearing. So next step for purchase invoice creation is to click on the purchase invoice. So by clicking on the purchase invoice, and you will be able to see that under the supplier section under Dropdown you you can see multiple supplier names. As under the estimate section we have added multiple suppliers against the charges. So the purchase invoice against whichever vendor you need to book, you just need to select that vendor, and accordingly the charges will be appearing. You just need to select the charge and you just need to create the purchase invoice. So by clicking on the purchase invoice, you will be redirected to the purchase invoice form. Here you just need to enter the supplier invoice number as per your vendor invoice. You need to select the purchase invoice date. You can select the branch of your vendor. If your vendor if suppose Domes Fabric has raised purchase invoice from Delhi branch, you can just select the branch from here. And again, in the purchase invoice form, if you can see, all the details of your vendor are getting pre-filled. Based on the details you have filled up in the network section, all companies under active suppliers, if I search Domes Fabric, then the Domes Fabric supplier has already been created and addresses and all the details are stored in the system. Based on that, when you create the purchase invoice, all the details are getting fetched. So here we have an additional function of hold invoice. So suppose if any dispute has been occurred with this vendor, you can also mark this invoice on hold. So by holding this invoice, let's say I'm holding this invoice and marking the release date as 28th January. So up to 28th January, this invoice is on hold. And before 28th January, if you make the payment entry against this invoice from the system, then the system won't allow you to make any payment entry. As you have marked this invoice on hold and you have marked release date as 20th January. So you can see here once set this invoice will be on hold till the set date. So up to 20th January, this invoice will be on hold. And after 20th January, only you can make the payment entry against this invoice. You can here also enter the reason for putting this invoice on hold. So this was about how you can mark the invoice as hold. Again, we have an additional feature as disputed invoice. If any dispute has been occurred with the vendor, or are there any uh, issue with the invoice which is raised by your vendor, you can also mark this invoice as a disputed. Against this, if you make any payment against this invoice from the system won't allow you to make the payment entry as you have marked this invoice as disputed. Next is the section of currency and price list. So here you can see if the currency is selected as INR. Now, if your vendor has raised you the invoice in USD, you can change the currency and you can mark as a USD. And you can edit the exchange rate as per your vendor invoice. So also you can say set the default currency at master level. So coming back to the master level, in this case in the supplier ledger section, the default currency mark against Dove fabric is INR. So whenever you book the purchase invoice against the Dome fabric, then the invoice currency by will be pre-filled as INR always. If you change it to USD, then it will be coming as USD by default here. So in this case, ocean freight export, as on ocean freight export, always IGST is charged. So in that case, for changing the GST calculation, as for so far now, the address, your supplier address is of Delhi and your company's address is of Delhi. This is the same state. So even if it is same state, in case of ocean freight export, you need to book the invoice with IGST. So in that case, in the case of purchase invoice, you just need to select the place of supply as 97 other territory. As soon as you select the place of supply as 97 other territory, IGST will be calculated here. So here you can see the GST is automatically calculated on the taxable amount. Also, the next section is about the tax withholding details. Now, if you want to apply TDS on this invoice, you can also apply it manually by clicking on the add row and selecting the TDS category. Let's say TDS payable on contract. So by entering the TDS payable on contract, the system will auto calculate the tax amount, the TDS on the taxable amount. As in this case, you can see auto apply tax withholding checkbox is tick mark. This is of the reason that at master level, default TDS category has been set. So here you can see in the supplier ledger section, TDS payable on contract default TTS category is set. That's why while creating the purchase invoice against that particular vendor, you can see auto apply tax withholding is tick mark. Also, you can add it manually by clicking on the add row. Here you can see the vendor invoice total, rounded total, and the outstanding amount which you need to pay to your vendor against this invoice. Next section is the write-off section. If you want to write off any small amount, you can just enter the write-off amount here. And you can just select the write-off account. And you can select the write-off cost center. So this way you can also write off any small amount if you want to write off. Also, here you can see that rounded total is coming up. If you want to disable this rounded total, you can just click on the disable rounded total and your rounded total will be disabled. Next section is the advance payment section. If you have made any advance payment against this invoice, you can click on just get advance paid and your advance payment and the advance payment entry. It means that the payment entry which you have booked against this vendor will be fetched by the system, that these are the payments which you have made on account into the system, and you can just click on set advances allocate FIFO basis. So by clicking on set advances and allocate, system will allocate payment against this invoice on FIFO basis. Next is the payment terms template section. If you have set default terms payment on the master level, then this payment terms will get pre-filled on the purchase invoice form. Also, if you can If you haven't set the payment terms on the purchase invoice form, you can just manually add it from here. So once you have filled up all the details, you just need to click on the save invoice. So by saving it, the purchase invoice will be saved as draft. You can see the draft copy like by clicking on the print option. You can also see purchase invoice auditing voucher also. Again, once all the details are correct, you can just submit the purchase invoice and your purchase invoices will be submitted. Here also you can see the copy of your purchase invoice. And once your purchase invoice is created, also in this case, your entry has been passed by the system. The purchase invoice, once you create the purchase invoice, system automatically enter the accounting ledger entry by itself. So you can see the accounting entry which the system has passed against the purchase invoice from here by clicking on the accounting ledger option. So here you can see the system has passed the purchase invoice entry. Again, coming back to the purchase invoice form. So under estimate section also you can see the purchase invoice which you have created is appearing in the account section, as well as if you go to the estimate section in the buy voucher section, you can see the buy voucher number against that particular charge. And now the buy symbol has turned to green as you have finally submitted your purchase invoice against this charge. In case of other charges, you can see still the buy symbol is coming as unbilled as you haven't booked any final purchase invoice against this charge. So let's create one more purchase invoice. So by clicking on create purchase invoice, dialog box will open up. You can select the vendor against which you want to book the purchase invoice. Select the charge and just click on create purchase invoice. By clicking on create purchase invoice, you will be redirected to the purchase invoice form. Here you can enter the purchase invoice number and here you can enter the purchase invoice date. So again, all the details are pre-filled by the system. Here is the total of taxable amount. Here is the total after the calculation of GST. Here you can see the auto apply tax withholding is tick marked, as also against this vendor TDS default category is set. Here you can see in the network section, if we search Modi marketing, TDS default category is set against this vendor. That's why while creating the purchase entry, while creating the purchase invoice form, the TDS default category is tick mark is showing against auto apply tax withholding. Now if we save this invoice, you can see your TDS category will get pre-filled as it was by default set on the master level. And here you can also see after TDS deduction how much amount is outstanding. It means that how much amount you have to pay to your vendor will be appearing here. So once you have checked all the details as this invoice, by clicking on save, the purchase invoice will go to the draft. And if your draft purchase invoice is okay, you can finally submit this purchase invoice. So you can see the accounting entry which the system has passed by clicking on accounting ledger. Going back, also if you want to revise this invoice, you just need to click on the revise option to revise the purchase invoice. Now let's see, suppose I wanted to add one more charge in this purchase invoice. So how you can add it from the purchase invoice form? As I have added in the estimate charges, I have added documentation charges also against the supplier. Now how you can add the charge directly in the purchase invoice form? So here on the purchase invoice form, we have an option of get items from shipment estimates, and you can pull out the charge which you have missed while creating the purchase invoice form from the estimate section. You just need to select the charge which you want to add on this invoice, and you just need to click on the get items. So that line item will be added. You can see here the charge has been added. Now you can finally save this purchase invoice. So again, by saving this purchase invoice, the purchase invoice will be saved as draft, and you can also finally submit the purchase invoice. So also you can see the purchase invoice will reflect in the account section. So here you can see also see the bifurcation, the voucher amount, the expense amount, the total outstanding, net outstanding with the GST and tax bifurcation, that how much was the GST calculated on this invoice and how much was the TDS which was deducted against this invoice, you can see. Also you can see the payment status, whether the invoice is paid or unpaid, you can see from here. Coming back to the purchase invoice form, here also in case of you want to cancel the purchase invoice, you just need to open that invoice and you just need to click on the menu option, and you just need to click on the cancel to revise the purchase invoice. So you just need to click on yes, and your final purchase invoice will be cancelled. So here you can see the purchase invoice has been cancelled. Now coming back to the estimate section again, if you have received the transporter's uh, invoice, transportation with RCM, then in that case you just need to select the charge as transportation charge 5% RCM, and you just need to click on the create purchase invoice. As you have added the charge as a transportation charge under RCM, then in this case, if you apply RCM on your transportation invoice, you just need to select the charge as transportation charge 5% RCM. Once you have clicked on create purchase invoice, you will again redirect it to the purchase invoice form. Here you need to enter the supplier invoice number, supplier invoice date. I'm just changing the supplier branch. And herein you can see transportation charge, and in this case, as you have selected the charge as transportation RCM, so the RCM is calculated on this invoice. So herein you can see the RCM is calculated. Also in this case, auto apply tax withholding. Let us see that I'm unticking this auto apply and need to enter the category manually. Suppose the TDS category is not set, and if you wish to enter it manually, you just need to select the TDS category from here, and you can see the taxable amount is pre-filled here by the system and the TDS has been calculated. You just need to click on the save option. By clicking on save, herein you can see the vendor invoice total. Here you can see after deducting the TDS how much amount you need to pay to your vendor. So this is the outstanding amount which you need to pay to your vendor. So I am finally submitting this invoice. So this invoice is finally submitted. Now suppose in case you want to allocate advance payment against this invoice. So let's see how you can revise this invoice. So just need to click on the revise button, and the invoice will again go to the draft stage. Herein you can scroll down and you can just go to the advance payment section. Click on the get advance payment and the advance payment entry will appear here. You just need to select the set advance and allocate the payment on FIFO basis, and again save it and submit. So herein you can see the purchase invoices has been submitted. Also you have allocated the advance payment. So the payment entry is also appearing here against this voucher. So purchase invoice, you have also knocked off the invoice by allocating the advance payment which you have done to your vendor. And also you can see that your purchase invoice status has been changed to paid. as you have allocated the advance payment against this invoice. Also, this you can see under the account section that the purchase invoice will appear here, and also you can see the payment status. As this invoice is paid, you can see the status, it is showing as paid. If you go to the estimate section also, buy voucher will be appearing against that charge. So again, coming back to the purchase invoice form, we have multiple option. If you make the payment, if you want to make the return debit note against this invoice, you just need to click on the make option and you just need to click on the return debit note. So again, your purchase invoice form will open up, and if you can see, as you are raising the return debit note, you can see the quantity has turned to negative as we are raising the return debit note. So if you want to pass the full credit note, you just need to click on the save option for passing the full credit note. If you wish to book the partial credit note, you just need to change the amount and you just need to click on the save and submit button for raising the final debit note. So also the impact of this you can see to in the estimate as well as the account section. As in the account section, you can see the return debit note has been issued. This you can see the under the payment section, you can see the debit note has been issued. Even if we go to the estimate section, we'll be able to see the debit note voucher number against that particular charge. So this way, how we have learned that how you can create the purchase invoice, how you can enter the buy rate against the charges, how you can create the purchase invoice, how you can raise the debit note from the purchase invoice, as well as how you can set and allocate advance payments against the purchase invoices, as well as how you can book the transportation RCM invoices. So once all your purchase invoices has been booked, how you can view all your purchase invoices under one report. So we have a report. Click on the navigation option under accounts payable. We have a purchase invoice list report. So in the purchase invoice list report, you just need to select the period for which you want to view all your purchase invoices. Let's see, we want to view the purchase invoices of December. So select the period and you just need to click on the generate option. So here all purchase invoices are appearing. So here the purchase invoices are appearing draft as well as submitted both. As we have kept status here as draft plus submitted. Now you want to see only the submitted purchase invoices. You just need to change the status and you just need to click on the generate option. So here you can see all submitted sale purchase invoices are appearing. Now, in case you want to see any particular cancelled purchase invoices, you just need to select the status and you just need to click on the generate option. So all cancelled purchase invoices will be appearing here. We have a mold filter option also. If you see here, you can filter out by the logistic product wise. If you want to see the purchase invoices of ocean export shipments only, then you can just filter it out and you can just click on the generate option. So all ocean export shipment purchase invoices will be appearing here, as well as you can filter out by supplier group. You can also filter out if you wish to see any particular supplier's purchase invoices, you just need to select that supplier and you just need to click on generate option. Also, if your vendor is having multiple address, then in that case also you can see the branch wise purchase invoices. So let's say Dome Fabric has a multiple branch, one in Mumbai and one in Delhi. And if we want to see the purchase invoices for Delhi branch, you just need to select the branch and you just need to click on the generate button. So for that branch, if any purchase invoices has been booked, then it will be appearing here. So also you can filter out by job number if you want to see the purchase invoices. You have booked any particular job, you just need to select that job and you just need to click on the generate button. So this is how the purchase invoice report looks like. Also under type here, it is by default selected as purchase invoice job type. If you want to see only debit notes, that also you can see. You can select your debit notes and you just need to click on the generate option. So this way you can also see the debit notes which you have created in December.